This is lecture 1 of module 2, memories. The first topic is general concepts. This is a conceptual diagram of memory. As you can see, it is an array of storage locations or storage registers. Each location has m bits size. It means you can store an m bit data in each location. Each location is named by a number. For example, the first location is named by 0, second location is named by 1, and so on till 2 power n minus 1. So these names are nothing but unique addresses. Actually, an address is a number which is allotted to refer to a particular location. So the last address is 2 power n minus 1. It means there are totally 2 power n locations. The total number of locations, that is 2 power n multiplied by small m number of bits per location, gives the total memory capacity. Here you can see 2 power n into m. This is the total capacity of a memory. If there are 2 power n locations, then you require n address bits or n address lines. Each location is like a register, but the architecture of each location will be an optimized implementation. Talking about memory sizes, we make use of prefixes like kilo, mega, giga. Kilo, capital K represented by capital K, it is 2 power 10, which gives 1024. This kilo is not exactly equal to 10 power 3. 10 power 3 is also kilo, which we represent by small k. This capital K and small k are not equal. 10 power 3 is 1000, whereas 2 power 10 is 1024. Next is mega, which is 2 power 20, which gives 1048576. And also this 2 power 20 is not equal to 10 power 6, the mega that we use for numerical calculations. This 10 power 6 is not exactly equal to 2 power 20. Giga, represented by capital G, which is 2 power 30, which gives 10737418842, and this is also not exactly equal to 10 power 9, the giga that we use. So in concept of memories, we make use of capital K, capital M and capital G to represent the sizes. And these multipliers, capital K, capital M and capital G, are in powers of 2. For example, 32K into 32-bit memory. If I say 32K into 32-bit memory, 32K, this is 2 power small n value. 32-bit is small m value. 32-bit means each location is capable of storing a 32-bit data. 32K, so K means 2 power 10, so this gives you 2 power n value. So 2 power n is 32K. It means that the total capacity, you have to multiply this 32K into 32-bit, which is around 1025K, which is 1 megabit, and this requires 15 address lines. Because 32K is around 2 power 15, so 2 power 15, n value is 15, small n value, so you require 15 address lines. And the size of a memory is determined by application requirements. what you can do in case of memory is you can reorganize the memory size. For example, the same 32k into 32-bit memory, which is 1 megabit memory, we can organize as 16k into 64-bit memory, also 64k into 16-bit memory. Means you can organize this 1 megabit capacity of memory in different ways. Coming to the basic operations performed by memory, as you all know, memory can perform read and write operation. So this is a diagram which shows the basic operations that a memory can perform. Here we have address lines starting from A of 0, A of 1, so on up to A of small n minus 1. So these are n bit address lines. D in 0, D in 1, so on up to D in small m minus 1. These are small m number of input lines. D out 0, D out 1, D out m minus 1. So these are small m number of output lines. En is enable, which is control signal. This enable should be 1 for read or write operation. If enable is 0, the memory cannot perform any operation. Next we have one more control signal, WR. If this WR is 0, the memory can perform a read operation. If this WR is 1, memory performs write operation. To perform write operation, what we require is we have to make control signal enable 1, write 1, and at the same time we have to apply small m bit data at the input port. Also simultaneously we have to apply small n bit of address. So the data stored in the address denoted by this address lines. The data will be present on the input port. So this data will be stored in a location in this memory component. The location's address is determined by the data which is present at the address lines. For read operation, enable should be 1 and write should be 0. WR should be 0. In read operation, we don't have the usage of this input port because data is already stored in one of the locations of memory. So we require only the address of that location. The address of the location will be applied to the address port. Depending on the address port, the location's data will be fetched and the data will be made available on the output port. So this m-bit output data can be used for any application. If enable is 0, so this memory component will be idle. It will not perform any operation. Now, having understood about the basic operations of memory, basic operations are read and write, let us go to an example. We shall solve a numerical example. So this is an example. Here what we have to do is we have to employ a memory which will introduce a delay in the arriving samples, and after a specified time or specified delay it will send the samples to the output for the further applications. So this is the problem statement of this example. Here you can see we have to design a unit whose name is audio echo effects unit. So what it performs is it delays samples. So audio samples are arriving at a rate of 50 kilohertz. Each audio sample is a 16-bit 2's complement binary value. On the arrival of a audio sample, what we have is we have an input control, audio in enable. So this will become 1 whenever a new audio sample arrives. Whenever the audio echo effects unit applies the output sample to the output terminal. So we have to activate a output control signal audio out enable in the same way. This should become 1 whenever this unit applies the output sample to the output port after the delay time. So the delay is also an input for our system, and it is 8-bit unsigned input. So the maximum value that you can generate from this 8-bit unsigned input is 255, and this delay is represented in milliseconds. The system clock frequency is 1 MHz. So whatever the digital system that we design, the clock for that digital system is 1 MHz. So this is the solution for the problem statement. System clock is 1 MHz as given in the problem statement. So audio samples are arriving at 50 kHz. So whenever a new sample arrives, audio in enabled should be 1. Delay is 8-bit unsigned value, which is in milliseconds, and we have to make this audio out enable 1. So in this waveform you can observe, so this is the 1 MHz clock, 1 MHz clock. This is audio in. So these are the samples. ST. So this is the, if you consider this ST as first audio sample which is arriving, after 20 microseconds the second sample will arrive, ST minus 1. So the time between these two samples is 20 microseconds. So how do you get 20 microseconds? If you divide 50 kilohertz, which is the sample arrival rate, by 1 divided by 50 kilohertz will give 20 microseconds. This is audio in enable. So as soon as a new sample arrives, this will become 1. Again, after the second arrival of sample, again this has become 1. Next is audio out. Audio out is a delayed sample. You can see ST minus D. So this is a sample which is stored small d milliseconds earlier. ST minus D plus 1. This is again a delayed sample which is stored D plus 1 milliseconds earlier. What is D? D is delay. So whenever we make this sample available at the output terminal of our unit, we have to activate audio out underscore enable. So whenever this is applied to the output port, audio out, so we have to make this signal 1. It is a pulse. Again, when we output the second audio sample, again we have to make this 1, and so on. So for this system we require a data path as well as a control section. So as you know, data path is a collection of registers and combinational components which perform actual computation of the system, whereas control section is an FSM. So if you observe this data path, it consists of counter. So this is a 14-bit counter. This is used for address generation. Next we have a multiplier. This is a simple multiplier component. This multiplies the delay applied. Delay is one of the inputs. It is a 8-bit value. So this delay, 8-bit delay value will be multiplied by 50. Why 50 means? The sample arrival rate is 50 kilohertz, which means that there are 50 samples arriving in 1 millisecond. 50 samples will be arriving at 1 millisecond. Therefore, we have to multiply the delay with 50, and it will also be a 14-bit value at the output of this multiplier. These two 14-bit values are applied to a subtractor. The output of subtractor is applied to one of the inputs of this 2:1 multiplexer. The second input of this 2:1 multiplexer is the direct output from this counter. Select line of this multiplexer, which is ADDR select, address select. So this will select between the output from counter or the output from subtractor. The output of this multiplexer is applied as address line. So this is our memory component. The input of this memory component DIN, this is applied with audio in. So here the 16-bit samples are arriving, audio samples, at a rate of 50 kilohertz. Next we have enable. So this is control signal. This is named as MEM_enable. Next we have WR, which is a read write control. So this is named as MEM_WR. The output of this memory component is labeled as audio_out, which is again 16-bit data. This subtractor and counter and delay, this delay unit, counter and subtractor. So this mechanism is used to produce an address of a sample which is located in a location, and that sample has arrived earlier, that is d milliseconds earlier, that is the previous sample. To locate that previous sample, this mechanism is used. This multiplier, subtractor and the counter. Coming to the storage capacity of this memory component, we know that the maximum delay is 255, because delay is 8-bit input. Using 8-bit input, you can achieve 255 milliseconds delay. So when you multiply this 255 with 50, what you get here is about 1275. So you should employ a memory which has minimum 1275 locations, 12750 locations. For that reason, we choose a memory size which is having a nearer value. So it comes out to be 16K into 8-bit memory. So we have to choose this memory capacity, which will give a memory capacity which is nearly equal to the required memory capacity. The required memory capacity is to store 12750 samples. For this memory, we require 14 address lines. That is what is mentioned in this data path. Coming to the control section, so this system works in two states. Step 1, which is the idle state. In step 1, audio in underscore enable will be 0, means no audio sample has arrived. Therefore, the system is in idle state, so it will perform nothing. When audio in enable becomes 1, so the input sample should be accepted by this memory and it should be placed in one of the locations. When audio in enable becomes 1, that is write operation will be performed using counter value as address. So this is the counter value, counter output. So this multiplexer select line will become 0. This will be made 0 by the control section. Therefore, the output of the counter will be taken as address by this memory component, and it will store the arrived input sample. In step 2, read memory. So what we have to do is, we have to change the select line. We have to make this select line 1, so that this multiplexer chooses the subtractor output. As I already told, the subtractor output is an address of location which has arrived d milliseconds earlier, means the old sample. So that address will be applied to the address line. At the same time, this write WR, which controls read write operation, so this should be made 0 for read operation. In read operation, there is no significance of the input port, so don't bother about the input port. The available data in the memory location will be fetched according to the address of this address line, and it will be made available at the output terminal, which is audio out. So in step 2, what we have to do is, we have to activate audio out enable control signal. So this is the design of FSM. As we have discussed in module 1, the design involves generation of two important tables. The first one is next state logic table, and one more is output function table. So this table combines both the next state logic table and output function table together combined in a single table. As you can see, step 1 is idle state. So if audio in enable, which is control signal, so the FSM depends on this control signal. If this is 0, the next state will be step 1. The FSM will remain in the idle state. In this idle state, if audio in enable becomes 1, means if a new sample arrives, then FSM will proceed to step 2. In step 2, it will perform its operation, and unconditionally it will move to step 1, which is the idle state again. Coming to the output function table, in step 1, as long as this audio in enable is 0, means as long as there is no audio sample that has arrived, the select line, the enable signal of memory, the write signal of memory, count enable of the counter, and audio out enable, all these will be zeros. So the value of these inputs of the data path will be provided by this control section. So in the idle state, all these will be zeros. During idle state, if audio in enable becomes 1, the meaning is a new sample has arrived. When a new sample arrives, what you have to do is, it should be stored in a particular memory location. So you have to perform write operation. To perform write operation, this enable signal, that is MEM underscore enable, should be made 1. MEM underscore write should be made 1. Count enable is 0. The address counter will not increment, and audio out enable is 0, because we have not outputted any audio sample. After completion of step 1, the FSM will move to step 2. In step 2, what the FSM will perform is, it will perform read operation. To perform read operation, this select line should be made 1, so that the multiplexer selects the subtractor's output as address. MEM underscore enable, this should be made 1, because we are performing read operation. NEM underscore write should be 0. Count enable is made 1. We are allowing the counter to increment. At the same time, audio out enable is made 1 to indicate that the output sample is available at the output terminal. So the sample that we output at the output terminal is a delayed sample which has arrived d milliseconds earlier. The next concept is wider memories, means to increase the size of individual locations. To increase the size of individual locations and to achieve a wider size per location, what we have to do is we have to combine individual memory components in parallel as shown in this diagram. So here we have 3 memory components, first one, second and third. They are combined in a parallel manner. So here we have the common enable for all 3, common write signal for all 3 and common address lines for all 3. Only the data input and data output are different. So the first components data input, which is a 16-bit wide input, so it will be from 0 to 15, that is 0 is LSB. So these are first 16 bits of the memory location, wider memory location. Next we have 15 to 0. Next we have the second input's data is 32:16. So totally we have 16 plus 16 plus 16, 48 bit wide location. If we combine the locations of these 3 components, so we get a wider location whose length is 48 bit. Or the output, we have to combine all 3 output lines. So this will provide the first 16 bit starting from MSB. Next the second component will provide next 16 bits and third component will provide the last 16 bits. By this arrangement, what we can achieve is a memory with wider location size. Next concept is more locations. So if we want to increase the number of locations, what we have to do is we have to arrange individual memory components in this fashion. If we require 2 power n number of locations and we have memory components which have 2k number of locations, then we have to divide 2 power n by 2 power k to know how many components we require. The address here will have 2 components. The least significant k bits of address will be the actual address of the data which is present in one of the locations in one of the components. To select a component, n minus k bits of the address, is used. So here you can see in this example, again we have combined here 4 memory components. If you see one memory component, it has 14 address lines, 8 data lines and 8 data output lines. Here we are combining write signal. This is common write for all components. Enable is applied from the output of a 2 to 4 decoder. Data input we have shorted. Address lines also we have shorted. The output from these memories, that is D out of 7 to 0 of the first component, is applied to the first input of this 4 to 1 multiplexer. The output from second component is applied to the second input of multiplexer. The output from third component is applied to the third input of multiplexer, and output from fourth component is applied to the fourth input of the multiplexer. The select line of the multiplexer is applied to the input of 2 to 4 decoder. So this input is of size 2 bit, and this is an optional enable for this 2 to 4 decoder. As I said, we require n minus k bits of address. For selecting individual component. Here n minus k, we have 2 bits, that is A of 15, A of 14 in this example. So these are inputs for this 2 to 4 decoder, which will select individual memory components. Remaining n minus k bits of address are applied here, which is a 14-bit value. The total size of address is 16-bit. Out of 16-bit, the 14 bits of address are directly applied to the address lines of each component. What you can see. Suppose you want to select a first component, then you have to make these address lines, that is A of 15, A of 14, 0. Then out of 4 components, the first one will be enabled. Here you can see the first output of this decoder is connected to enable. Whenever you make the input 0, 0, as this is 2 to 4 decoder, out of 4 output lines, only this will be active. Therefore, this will enable the first memory component. Once the first memory component is enabled, you can access the locations of the first memory component. You can perform read or write operation. Remaining memory components will be disabled, means you cannot perform any operation. When these address lines are 1, 1, similarly you can select the last component and the first 3 components will be disabled. So you can access all locations of the last component. So these 4 components together will provide a memory with more number of locations. So the total capacity of memory after combining all these 4 components will become 64K into 8 bit. 64K is the total number of locations. 64 into 1024. And each component size individually is 16K into 8 bit. So this component is individually having a size of 16K into 8. The second component, third and fourth, all are having 16K into 8 bit size. Combiningly, these 4 together have 64K into 8 bit size. Next concept is tri-state drivers. So already we know there is something called as tri-state. In tri-state, along with 0 and 1, the circuit which is having this mechanism also produce high impedance. So here you can see This is just like inverter of CMOS, where the inputs are not shorted. So if you apply 1 to this PMOS transistor and 0 to NMOS transistor, what you can achieve is you can isolate this output terminal from positive supply as well as ground. Under that condition, the output terminal will be in a state called as high impedance, that is capital Z. So why this type of high impedance state appears on the output is output will be disconnected from the supply. So there is no path between this supply and output. At the same time, there will be no path from this output to the ground. That is like a open circuit. So these type of tri-state drivers are used in scenario where we can connect multiple memory components and simplify the connection. They also provide buses that allow multiple data sources to provide data in a system. Here you can see this is a bidirectional bus. So from this mechanism, from this line through this buffer, we can actually design an input. So the data from this line through buffer provides the input, and this part is used for output, the tri-state driver. If there are n number of data lines, for each data line we should have this mechanism. So in this diagram, if we assume that there are 3 data lines, so for each data line we have this mechanism. So this will be the common line for all 3. Suppose this source or this line wants to drive something on this line, then the tri-state drivers of the second component and third component should be disabled. To disable the tri-state components, you have to make the output terminal of these drivers high impedance. That is, you have to apply 1 and 0 respectively to the PMOS and NMOS transistors to deactivate the component. When these 2 components are deactivated, the first component can drive the signal to the bidirectional line. For read operation, this is useful. During write operation, the tri-state driver of all components, is disabled. So if data arrives on this line, then it will flow through the buffer of the enabled component. If the first component is enabled, the buffer of first component will be active. Data flows through this and it will be stored in particular memory location. At the same time, these 2 buffers will not be active as the memory components will be disabled. So these type of tri-state drivers along with bidirectional bus will simplify the connections of a composite memory, what we have discussed previously. How it will simplify is, it will make the output and the input of a memory component as common. So here you can see the memory components are having only one port which is a bidirectional input and output port. These components are not having separate outputs. This is same as this example is same as the previous one what we have discussed, where we try to increase the number of locations. Such type of memories are also called as composite memories, where we combine number of memory components to increase the total number of locations in the resulting memory. So this is also the same composite memory, but the difference is here we are using bidirectional ports. So this is a common input and output port. Suppose we want to perform write operation on the first location, then first of all what we have to do here is these two address bits, that is A of 15 and A of 14, should be made 0 and this enable should be 1. This 2 to 4 decoder selects or enables the first component. At the same time, second, third and fourth components will be disabled by applying 0 through these three output lines. When the first component is active, we can access only locations of first component. To perform write operation, we have to apply 1 to this. We were discussing the write operation. So these data lines will now act as input, and these data lines will be active only for the first component as this is enabled. So these data lines, as I already told, are bidirectional lines. So the size of these lines will be 8. So there will be totally 8 lines. Here 8 lines, and each line will have a pair of buffer and tri-state driver as discussed in the previous slide. So each line will have this pair. So totally there will be 8 such lines for this component. The buffers of the 8 lines will be active, and the data on this line will be accepted by the component, and it will be stored in a location whose address is determined by this address line. During read operation, suppose we want to perform read on the last component, then we have to apply the address lines 1 1, that is A of 15, A of 14 should be made 1 1, so that this 2 to 4 decoder selects the last component. At the same time, these three components will be disabled because only the output of the last line of this decoder will be high, remaining three outputs will be 0 for 1 1 input. So the last component will be active. During read operation, we need to fetch the data from one of the locations whose address is determined by this address line, and we have to output on this common bidirectional line. As you know, there will be 8 lines here. Each line will have one pair of buffer and tri-state driver. Now what will happen is, during the read operation, the tri-state drivers of only this component will be active. The remaining components tri-state drivers will be inactive. So this component can fetch data from its location and put that on this common bidirectional output line. So this type of arrangement, this will provide advantage in reducing number of pins. As the number of pins are reduced, the number of connections are reduced, and hence it will reduce the cost of the PCB. But the problem is these type of bidirectional lines are not realizable in ASICs and FPGA. So the components available in ASICs and FPGA do not support bidirectional lines. Therefore, we don't have memories with bidirectional lines as components inside ASICs and FPGA. At the end of this video lecture, let us summarize what we have studied in this video. So we have seen the general concepts of memory, and we have come across the fact that 2 raised to n into m is the memory capacity. Then we have studied the memory sizes, the prefixes kilo, mega and giga. We have studied the basic operations performed by memory. We have gone through this example which produces a delay in the arriving samples. We have studied how to increase the size of individual location by combining individual memory components in parallel, so that we can achieve a memory whose locations have more storage size. Next, we have studied how to increase the number of locations in memory. To increase number of locations in memory, we have to combine individual memory components in this fashion, so that the resultant memory will have more number of locations. It is also called as composite memory. Next, we have studied the concept of tri-state drivers. These tri-state drivers will help in bidirectional input-output ports by reducing the number of connections and thus reducing the cost of PCB. And these bidirectional ports are not present in ASICs and FPGA as components. Thank you.